Alright, so in this video I'm gonna show you how to make a blinker lever work as a peripheral and use it in your favorite truck sim. Here's what you're gonna need. So first is an indicator stalk. So this one comes from a Peugeot 106. It's found on many Peugeot or Citroen cars like 306, Berlingo, Partner. I'm gonna put the serial number in the description. You can find them used for pretty cheap. They're very common if you live in Europe. Next up, you're gonna need a joystick controller board, something like this. They're also very cheap. You can find them on eBay and Amazon. It goes around $5 to $10. And finally, you're gonna have to install a program called AutoHotkey. Okay, so now that you have everything needed, the first thing you want to do is wire the stalk to the input board. So here are two diagrams to help you do that. They are specific to this model. So if you're using a different one, look up the serial number and try to find the diagram, or use a tester, but that's going to be a long and painful process. I do not recommend it. So, how are you going to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. Let's say, for example, you want to wire the horn. So the horn is labeled A. So what you do is take one of the wires provided with the board, put one of them on A, the other one on A, and simply plug this end into the board. On this specific model of lever, there are 3 shared pins. One of them shares 3 wires, and the two others shares 2 wires. So what you want to do is take 2 of the provided plugs and mate 2 or 3 of the wires together. You have to make sure that they are the same color, and when it's plugged into the board, you have to make sure that they're plugged into a ground position and not a 5V. Otherwise, whenever you're gonna turn one of the shared position, all the others will turn on too, so that's not good. In case you've messed up, you don't have to redo the wiring again, because there's not many of these provided. What you can do instead is just remove one of these plastic connectors and turn it around so that the 5V and the ground are inverted. Also, you want to make sure that the connections aren't not touching each other in the stalk. So what I did is rub them with heat wrap, just to make sure they don't touch each other. So now that everything is wired properly, the last thing you want to do is plug in the board, plug it in your computer, and use this website to try out the different buttons. So, for example, I'm gonna turn on the light. You can see it works. So just test every function of the lever like that. Alright, so make sure you have installed AutoHotkey, and you can download both scripts available in the description. So one of them is the one I've made, and the other one is made by the team at AutoHotkey. You need this one to try out which button is named what. So it goes like this. You can see Microsoft PC joystick driver number 2. That's very important, because then in my script, that means that the buttons will start with 2, joy, and a number. If it said joystick driver 1 or 3. Say you type 1 or 3. Simple as that. Now, for example, I want to see what's the name of the button that turns on the markers. So I turn on the markers and I see it's number 9, buttons down 9. So the key to turn on the markers is 2 joy 9 or 1 joy 9 or 3 joy 9, whatever. So you just do that for every function of the lever, and you write everything down on a sheet of paper. So now the last thing you need to do is open up my script named blinkerlever.ahkey using a text editor, and you're gonna have to modify every key with yours. So as I've shown, the marker button is called 2 joy 9. If yours is called 1 joy 3, just replace every time it says 2 joy 9 with 1 joy 3. Also, this is the key used in the game to switch the lights on. So what this does is, when I turn on 2 joy 9, first it sends 1L, so it's gonna turn on the markers. Then it's gonna wait for me to release. If I do, it presses L 2 times, which will turn off every light. Now if I have 2 joy 9 pressed, and I also turn on the low beams, 2 joy 9 will stay. That's how stalk lever works. So it sends L again to turn on the low beam in the game. And if I turn everything off, it sends 2L again. So it's gonna go to low beam and turn off. Now we're coming to the gear selector. So I'm using the fog lights as the gear selector. I had to invert, because usually on a truck the drive button is on top. This time it's reverse on top. Well, that's because we are using an indicator lever, and when you have the back fog lights on and you also have the lights on, whenever you're gonna turn off the light, the back fog lights is gonna turn off too. It will physically move off. So I thought that I was less likely to play with the lights when I'm reversing compared to driving. So if suddenly the night comes on, I turn on my lights, I'm in drive position, no problem, I turn them off, I'm still in the drive position. Now if I was reversing and I turn off the lights, it's gonna put me back to neutral, which is not what I wanted. So that's why it's inverted. Yeah, that's next gear, so that's the front fog light, and previous gear is gonna be back fog light. So now that you've replaced all the keys in the script of yours, you can run the script and launch the game. Make sure that all the buttons on the lever are turned off. Also, one thing to note is that the script only works when the game window is active. It's necessary to have it to work. Now in the game, if you turn on the front fog lights, nothing will happen. That's because it's the first time you run the script. And now if you turn off the fog lights, you're going into drive. Go back to the fog lights and you're in neutral. Add in the back fog lights and you're in reverse. Thank you for watching this video. All the links and the wiring diagram are in the description of the video, and I hope you enjoy your new indicator stalk.